There it is, right there. Thank you, guys. To the PPL. Welcome, everybody. My name is Evan Rayner, Rain Day, and that's William Newberry V. Gormizer. We are here to get started with the Paladins Premier League. And, of course, today we have a doubleheader for SK. They'll be facing Renegades and Splice in that order. And I mean, honestly, William, do you think they have a chance to sweep both?
I think Renegades is going to be a lot rougher. I don't think it's going to be a sweep.
Right.
Splice, I honestly kind of feel the same way. I don't know where they're standing just yet. And I think this is kind of I get the compass to show off where is SK, where is Splice, specifically in this kind of top 1 through 5.
You got to ask. I mean, you got to ask. Right now, it's definitely a proving week for all of these teams. And we have, of course, a proving ground, whereas the ultimate proving ground arriving soon in November, the 16th through the 18th. It's DreamHack, biggest event of the year. The Paladins World Championship, the Paladins Console Wars, alongside the Smart World Championship, Console World Championship, and I don't know. I heard about some Realm Royale stuff over there as well.
Potential. I've been hearing the whispers.
We'll see what Gore has to say about it, because he's really the big dog making all the decisions out here. So.
Stamp of approval right here.
Stamp of approval by him. We got the PPL, obviously, splits and information on the screen for you as to when these things will take place. The PWC placement rounds will be in November, early on the 5th, and the Summer Land that we're all playing for now is going to be on the 19th to the 22nd, players arriving around the 16th and getting ready for that. And so this is really game time. Really, G2 secured their spot almost essentially. Yeah. MV Renegades fighting for that spot. And SK, if they win both of these, could start to get into that conversation with still a week left. The problem is, if they win here, it could also shut out Renegades conversation as being a viable team to take that second spot.
Much like yesterday was big for NIP, who are now sitting in number 2 in Europe, this is big for Renegades to potentially pull them up.
Yeah.
Again, it looks more like kind of a boxing match between them and Envy for number 2, which was kind of similar to what we ended the spring split with.
And I mean, getting good in splits, man, this is starting to determine a lot of potential prize money these teams are leaving on the table if they don't perform. Obviously, we'll see G2 and Envy later on. That G2 Renegades match, huge for Renegades. It's almost a must-win. And Envy, Splice, a win you would assume would go to Envy, but again, a must-win for them as well. So this first matchup, SK and Renegades, so crucial. Last week, SK faced a bit of heartbreak going up against Envy, having that reverse sweep happen. You mentioned Drogos, you mentioned Invocal. Once they figured that out, it just didn't go their way, and unfortunately didn't get the result.
And that's kind of the thing I'm wondering if we're going to see. Maybe some research being done. You watch that game and you think, man, Envy started winning when they banned Drogos. I wonder what we're going to do throughout all of this. Do we let Invocal take that? Because they played it, no matter how he played it. It looked phenomenal. And it was one of the things, specifically Splitstone Corey, which was the one that really stood out as you have to absolutely ban this champion, because he never stopped.
He never stopped, and you never want to never stop stopping, I think, when you are either a Smite fan or if you are a Paladins fan watching SK continue to play beautiful salvos and manipulation of the Dragon in the Skies. That's what you can ask for, and that's what they need from this guy. I've been saying this for forever. Invocal needs to step up. He knows that. And so I think he's ready this week, hopefully, to prove himself. There is no other time than now. If they lose, you would almost assuredly say that their chances are slim to none.
It's just in that area where they're finally having those few members kind of step up and make that big difference. The same thing kind of goes for Renegades, where it's just you're finally starting to incorporate variety, I want to say, into everything. It's not just, okay, this guy can play these 2 champions, we know that, so if we take one or we ban the other, then we're set. They don't have anything to play anymore. It's all of a sudden, okay, well, this guy can play Mave, he can play Drogos, he can play a sniper if he really needs to pull it out, and just being able to kind of keep that versatility, which I think gives your team that just next level edge.
And the Blaster's the big thing. That's the big one if he can continue to do so. Another guy who's been a huge talking point for Renegades ever since they were even prevalent in last November's LAN when they took the spot of someone else who was not able to attend. It's been Loki. He's really one of those star players in the making. He's already given credence as a fantastic hit scan player, a fantastic Shaolin player. You treat him with respect, but can he take results by himself? That's what I'm really looking to see.
Yeah, it was one of the few players, I think, when it came down to it. Him and ClickU, I was kind of on the fence about them overall, because again, it kind of looked like, okay, maybe they don't have too much flexibility. Renegades, especially in its former iterations, didn't quite look as clean as it has this year. This year, it's definitely been kind of like that next step with the way they've been able to bring it up, and Loki has been a huge cornerstone for that. Again, someone you can rely on to not only bring a ton of damage, but he's that veteran, so it's just okay, guys, keep your level head. I can come through. Don't worry about it. If you die or something falls off, everything's still going to go smooth.
Well, I think you have that type of, battling of not only identities, not only of moments to be seized, of big personalities from Bitey to Click You. Flexible is part of their middle name, I would say, both of those players. And we'll see how that translates into the draft, which we've honestly seen have weaknesses on the side of SK in general. War Doom, kind of an old story, but now, fitting in quite well for these guys. And it's time to get into first set of the day. Let's get into the maps right now for SK and Renegades as they begin to try and earn their spot in LAN. Number 2 seeds, all they can hope for. But boy, oh boy, if they don't, they're not coming to Atlanta in July.
Stone Keep, it's actually a pretty good spot, I think, to start everything off. It's very neutral overall. But still, I think actually for both of these teams, Drogoz is a big pickup that can make a big impact on this map, especially given the right hands. And since we've had Moonchopper and Invocal kind of showcase that they can be the right hands, I'm wondering if he's going to be contested.
I agree. I mean, I think, Drogo's super, super contested here for both these teams. And the question is, you want him. One of the ways to deal with the contest is to actually ban him early, but the front line is going to take precedence. You see the Terminus, the Khan, the Cassie. SK are going to be giving up first pick to Renegades, so will they go for Drogoz early? And it seems like that might just be the case.
I'm kind of curious if it's going to take priority and be number 1. Jinno's getting banned out. And this is something, I feel like this is an SK kind of thing that they could actually pull through, just because it's, you can grab Buck, we don't have to worry about then immediately grabbing Jinnos. We can grab whatever we want. We trust ourselves to run other healers.
And, I think that it's fine that SK take the bait, and I think Renegades take the Buck. They say, you want Buck because it's a great counter for Drogoz, and also fares flexible in a triple DPS, which you may want to run. But they leave all the Makoa Drogoz, and SK say, fine, we'll put our star-studded players on these star-studded champions and counter you. We're just going to two-tap you. There's no recovery that will get through a Dragon Punch.
And Renegades are going back towards that double frontline meta as of now, Fernando and Nara, which I think is a big, again, Fireball, being able to have a low cooldown, putting that brand on there.
It's scary.
Again, you're looking at someone who can hit Drogoz. It's not going to hit every single time, but if you need to throw up a Fireball, you can still knock him out of the sky.
Yeah, you absolutely can. It's going to be a threat across all areas, and Nara's weapon can do some damage as well from the sky. Do not expect any of these champions to not contribute to taking down this dragon, and that is the big key for SK. Can they, so far, I guess, just allow it, facilitate it to be successful? That's what we'll be looking for here. As Barrett gets locked in, they're matching the double front line. This one a little bit more flexible. How do you feel about this score going in? Do you think SK have what it takes?
I mean, Renegades are putting a lot onto this Buck to perform well. He has to take care of Drogoz, has to get him out of the air, has to kind of put him down. And while there's still going to be some assistance, I think, from the rest of the team, it feels like the onus really falls onto him. He has to be the one to do it. Whereas SK kind of have a couple win conditions that it's like, okay, well, if Drogoz isn't working out perfectly, so we got Shaolin. It's all good.
We also got Makoa. Let's send it over to the cashers and get game 1 started. SK versus Renegades. You're on Stone Keep.
Hey, guys. Tigress here with the sky. Keep me protected as we go into SK
Eagles
versus
on the move.
Renegades. Well, I'm not really moving, so kind of the wrong call.
Makoa's made it through the draft, I repeat. Makoa's made it through the draft.
You're really, I think you should
I hear Makoa made it through the draft.
Oh, so you're a different
It was
person.
tough to get past your security there. He was
okay.
really strong and handsome at the same time, and that's a hell of a combination to have to deal with.
Well, maybe you should hire him at some point.
I probably couldn't afford it. I don't know.
Really hyping this guy up, man.
I don't know who he is, but...
So do you think that this match is going to be worthy enough where we need those bodyguards?
Probably. Renegades feel like they need some hired guns right now because I think SK got everything they wanted in this draft. The first pick, Buck, is a little strange to me because he's definitely sort of taken Zin's place in my eyes as like the #1 Luminary pair. I think he's still scary at base. I think any champion that's going to be paired well with Luminary has to be scary at base. But it's about making that bad problem worse for you. And with the way Invocal's been kind of two-tapping people of late with his Drogoz, it's been looking more dialed in than ever. Buck is a big, thick boy, but he definitely does struggle against Fusillade. No one can go toe-to-toe with Invocal on Drogoz when he's dialed in.
Yeah, that's been some pretty tough stuff for anyone to deal with that faces off. And SK Gaming, I think
I don't know about this.
It's really tough to say because I feel like in the earlier part of the split we're thinking SK, most people feel pretty comfortable against them except for maybe like Splice, but then nowadays seem to be picking things up a little bit. Shady Shades on the Shaolin.
Ouch.
Nice
Chopper.
early shot.
He learns his lesson quick. Running Poise 5 as well, which is not something we see often taken. Wi-Fi is forced out. Bad situation here. Hopefully he'll get pocketed back up soon. That's the strength of Maldamba. Kliku caught looking. He will be first blood.
First blood goes over to Wi-Fi. Also SK with 33% onto the objective and should be continuing to climb right about now. You see your hero on the opposite side gets a kill but ends up going down immediately. So that ends up losing the pressure that they could use to actually rotate back towards this point and try and stem the bleeding.
Fireball not quite going to connect. Shady with a beautiful position here. Wi-Fi as well. This double front line for SK Gaming being very fruitful. A nice reposition here. Doesn't quite get the distance that he wanted. Shady caught on the curb. Turns what looked like a flashy play into a bit of a misplay.
All the way to 99%, but Renegades, they are back into it. And we've seen quite a bit of buck from Moonchopper specifically, as he's been really kind of rumbling into this role. Drokos as well, he's been pulling out as of late. So applying that pressure as much as possible to the enemy team and rotating from the high ground. Shady Shades is kind of ready to try and get some of these shots to force anybody off of this objective, but they're about to match that 99.
Yeah, they are. They're creeping up, closing the gap as well. Looks like a thrust over the top. Moonchopper takes a lot of damage again. Forced out of this fight. All cooldowns used. This is essentially a 4v5 for SK if they can capitalize.
There's a Dragon Punch into Hero's face, though, so without a Nard to keep them all protected, and same with the Buck. Oh no, SK Gaming getting the leg up on this one. Whirlwind activated by Renegades. A little bit of extra healing. The Immortal and the Dread Serpent, so no fearing away for this fella right here. But nonetheless, SK getting thrown for a loop by Loki with the double kill.
Kliku, Kliku, Kliku. Kliku and Viral, to be honest with you, that was a great Whirlwind. Gets Kliku top back up, but the reaction time of that Immortal to definitely diffuse that Dread Serpent, that is crazy. You know, you can do it. There's a little bit of a sound cue wind up. The projectile has to travel if it's like a far distance, kind of like bomb Dread Serpent, but that was a point blank at his feet. The fact that Kliku was able to hit the button quick enough there is really, really impressive. They simply buy so much time, so much space, that it's only a matter of time for Loki to get the kills that he did.
And the nature of that fight meant no one was really able to actually kind of figure out how to react to that Immortal in enough time.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the ultimates that came afterwards just kept that staying power going. And right now, they've already passed 50% on the objective. Moving on forward, and Moonchopper making this rotation as you do like to see from the Buck, but you have to be careful for Invocal, who is lurking right there on the side.
Especially when you've already given up one pick. And while we have the kind of chance to do so, I want to take a look at this Fernando's loadout real fast to see if he's running inbuilt CCR, and it doesn't look like he is. So it is that much more important that Kliku is quick on his Immortals today, because normally, you know, you've got your 70%, you pop out after about 0.3 seconds of the Dread Serpent, then you cast your Immortal and hopefully keep your team all alive. That's not going to be the case with this loadout. Kliku has got to be quick on the trigger today.
And right now, he's facing off against Bitey on the opposite end. He is on the barrack. And you actually heard another Whirlwind actually go off from the Grover. So Renegades are very determined to not lose anybody so they can potentially engage in a very aggressive fight. But SK right now do have the high ground, and you want to get a couple of picks. And there's one onto Shady Shades. And maybe that's exactly what they need to start turning the heat up. But a Dome Shield right on the top actually brings out the Immortal for Kliku. He is keeping himself alive time and time again with these perfectly timed ultimates.
Oh my goodness, Ancient Rage Dragon Punch. SK aren't looking to give this one up early, and Vocal goes down mid-flight. Gabriella, that 10,000 HP is running low.
And the Turtle's shell has been cracked. 35 seconds to go on this below key. He doesn't feel like he needs any of that as he gets another kill, and Renegades with the 2-0 to start off this game.
Oh my goodness gracious. What a start. What a bounce back from them. And these are the kills that were happening. That Whirlwind, the healing from Viral was so great. Everything was amazing in that fight from Loki, Viral, Kliku. They were an unmatched trio there. That was so important for them to do everything that they did to be able to get that payload.
I love the timing and the way that you saw Viral with the Whirlwind and then just keeping such an eye on the situation so that he could hop down at the right moment and assist when needed. So SK, great off the bat with the start. Shady Shades just was landing a lot of shots, but when you have someone like Moonchopper that twice in a row he actually used the same way to exit after taking a couple shots from that, and he kind of just kept making that rotation to keep himself alive.
That's what made it so impressive that Renegades were still able to win that fight, because he was essentially forced out. There wasn't any of that harassment. Look at the spearhead, though, from the Renegades. They're shoving this right up the gut. Stunned two and already killing one.
Moonchopper gets that onto Invocal. Another Dread Serpent, but this time it's actually a couple more that are locked down. Shady Shades and Wi-Fi pick up some kills off the back of that. And with Comeback Mechanic, managed to get the 50%, but Renegades with the frontliners have rotated on through.
Bitey off on an island, dying on his own in the back line. for the Renegades there. About pretty much a 1v3. He was up against Inara Bomb King, and eventually Kliku came trying to help lock it down. Wi-Fi to the back line. No ultimates for SK Gaming, though, and here's another whirlwind from Viral.
Oh, so now Kliku has no problem staying alive in this interaction, just quickly pursues Wi-Fi, gets the kill immediately, and now Bitey once again is just sectioned off by the members of Renegades, who aren't going to let him go and have nowhere for him to hide.
How much damage has this Fernando done at this point in the game? I feel like he is always in somebody's face. He's getting so much healing from Viral and just keeping the gas pedal hit this whole time. Let's take a look at the damage charts to see where these front lines are actually managing to sit, as Kliku has recharged his Immortal yet again.
And geez, look at how forward Moonchopper was able to get right there. Yeah, he's number 2 to Drogos. But this also, I feel like with Loki on the Bomb King, even though he's lower on the charts, whenever he has gotten the damage off, it's been impactful. Usually double kill here, been able to still get that impact from it. And then if you're relying on Shady Shades to be able to get super aggressive, just climb with his damage, it's very harmful if you're looking and then there's these 2 frontliners above you.
You know, this kind of, for me, summarizes the way Loki's Bomb King has gone for the Renegades. He hasn't played that hyper-aggressive Bomb King that we'll see from, like, you know, the Diggy Dogs, the Fashekos out there. It's still kind of a new pick for him, so I think he's just content to sit in the back line here and just sort of do his thing, be solid, be 7-1 for the Renegades.
But I also think it's kind of that, you know, primary versus secondary and what you as a player usually bring. So he has his other roles that he usually brings more often. The Bomb King has come in a secondary placement where it is a bit more just to round out the comp as opposed to the star of it. But right now you actually hear the Ancient Rage from Wi-Fi actually hooks in Hero. Loki and Hero both falling. Kliku does give it back onto Shady Shades, so getting a little bit of a trade. But nonetheless, there's actually the Dread Serpent as well, and Immortal was used very recently, but he didn't get caught by it.
You know, you gotta wonder how that fears Viral, but not Kliku, who is standing right in front of him with a shield up. Very interesting. I mean, Dread Serpent is supposed to go... You know what? It might have been... I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, there's cases where the Dread Serpent basically asks, all right, is there someone in direct line of sight to the center of the Dread? You can break line of sight with the center of Dread Serpent and you won't get hit, but that just didn't look like that scenario to me.
I think maybe the half stairwell and stuff over there, he might have stepped behind for a second and it broke off. But
maybe.
Either
That
way,
could be it.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit diagonal on that aspect, so it helped him out. But right now, Renegades, they're in the same position they were before. You hear the Dragon Punch come out, but doesn't even matter. Renegades just close it out.
What killed that dragon in the sky? 4th, 5th whirlwind from the Renegades. A beautiful snowball victory. MVP there. Kliku and Viral sort of as a unit together. The Immortals were incredible there. Keeping Kliku on those legs to stand is a very important job that Viral accomplished, but Kliku was absolutely incredible.
Well, I want to know at the desk, what did you think of Kliku's play?
I mean, it was good. He clicked on some people. What do you say?
That's a good way to describe it. There was a lot that he did that I think only Fernando could really supply to you. I mean, he torched people with that flamethrower.
Oh, I like the use of the pun there as well, torching them. He basically made sure that they were very upset after his play. And you know what? I think one of the best things for me is that when you have a guy like Kliku pilot such a deadly Fernando. I mean, it's the difference between somebody who just plays Fernando and has a shield up. Somebody who plays Fernando knows when to do damage like that and help to finish off in vocals. So that Dragon Punch doesn't hit the Inara. If Inara goes down and we still got Makoa there, it's a good chance that doesn't go in and it doesn't keep the momentum for this Grover that they're counting on working as an early game snowball champion.
And a lot of really well-timed Immortals either being able to kind of eat through a Dread Serpent, eat through just some Dome Shield damage, or if appropriately timed, I guess it could have just been thwarting off Invocal trying to come in and find him. But there was a lot going on. One of the things that I really liked is actually the fact that he had Hot Pursuit 3 in his loadout. He completely forewent the immovable object, so no CCR, but just getting a little bit of movement speed. And I know that's something that Rubu from Envy likes to run, is just here's a little bit of burst of movement speed for you. You can chase him down, you can get a little bit more damage, and Kliku took that advantage and pressed it as hard as he could.
It almost seemed like in that last play, that Dread Serpent either hit the top of the shield and got detonated right at the shield, maybe it was too low, or he just backed up to create enough of a trajectory so that the center of that didn't actually clip into his body. and force him to put the shield down and get feared. It was an interesting kind of initiation attempt, and maybe it was just preemptively activated again on the side, of SK, and Morgan trying to make that. Either way, SK go down here, and we're ready for map number 2, and it was a startling kind of rush to the finish line for them in Game 1. Renegades know they cannot lose, and I think, to me, this is where you start to have these matchups in this week where, oh yeah, it could be contested. SK could do a lot. It's their doubleheader. But this is about Renegades. If they want a chance to actually qualify, remember, this team has been the team that qualifies because everyone else can't go. That has been the reason they've been at big tournaments. This is a chance, again, to have a spot at the top 2. It's really about them, to be honest, in my opinion, and trying to do what they've never, ever done before.
And I think what we saw through that last game is kind of, I feel like, going to be like an analogy for the set when it comes down to the fact that that beginning of that started out kind of close. It looked like, oh man, okay, SK have a leg in this, and then immediately Renegades are like, okay, 4-0. And that's what they need to have. It's like, okay, you can keep it close a little bit. We figure you out just a second, and then we have to just cutthroat go for it. You can't lose to a team like this at this point in the tournament.
And as the draft comes in, obviously SK prioritizing that Cassie. It's very flexible onto Shades, onto Invocal, and the BK picked up from Renegades. You know, Gore, that spot you talked about, the slow play, that is one of the things that I love about Renegades. And I'm going to tell you, when you're winning, it's a lot easier to lose, win again, lose, win again, than if you've not won. If you've really, SK really looking for getting themselves out of that top 4, out of the 4-5 into the 2-3-1. And Renegades have kind of been there. They've been floating there. Yes, they've been to land. SK have just been missing out so much. I think they're eager for that win. And those moments where you have a 90-90, 99-99, a 2.5-minute point fight, it can be very hard to not go and pull the gas and say, let's get this, let's get it now.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things, especially with the way Renegades kind of pace it, they keep SK under control. And I think that's one of the things SK, when they're doing successful in these games, it's because they've got things rolling for them. Drogo's is doing well, or Eevee's doing really well. Right now, they haven't been able to get that just yet. Even it's like, okay, Drogo's just got 2 kills. Cut him off.
Yeah.
Stop it right now. And that's exactly what Renegades do. They keep attention to that.
And I think it's going to be important that they keep attention on all of the SK players, because they're going to be trying to bounce back. If they go down 2 games, it's not looking likely to win the set. So it's a must-win for SK versus Renegades now.
But as the desk said, Renegades, they're usually the ones that get to the land, but it's some kind of circumstance situation. I'm sure they would love to be able to get here on their own accord.
It's not merit, and you got to wonder what that does to their mentality, and I think their ferocity and hunger to get a win at a LAN. If they're not qualifying there, and it's kind of like you've already maybe taken the keys out of the ignition for the split, so to speak, after you've missed qualify, you missed the cut, and then you get the call, a month or however long it is later, saying, oh, it's time to go again. And it's like, oh, well, we got to start the engine here and hopefully get this bad boy warm before the competition. We've got Bitey on Eevee, and that excites me a lot. Fusillade Drogos, Luminary, Impulse, Mother's Grace, Scorched Royal Subjects, Efflorescence, Yomi, and Decimation.
We get to see that combo with Viral and Click You once again, though.
Yeah, Gabby, these are really good picks for the Renegades. I gotta be honest, their style of the Grover solo heal has, obviously proved itself a lot. Viral has run this, I think, more than any other support at this stage of the game. Great shots from Bitey, though. One more, I'll find him first blood. But he's not going to get too hasty.
On the other side, Click You gets first blood onto Shady Shade. So not quick enough to have that onto the Eevee, but still duking it out with Moonchopper. Meanwhile, SK lose pretty much everybody else. Bitey falls now, and the only one to survive this has been Inara.
That sucks. Bitey's basically in a 1v1, and then he kind of turns around.
Where'd my team go?
Takes the the blinders off for a second, and they're all dead. And that's unfortunate, but that's this Renegades comp. I think they've drafted well. SK Gaming, 3 DPS here, decently mobile. It's tough to find an angle into this just almost death ball composition from the Renegades. They have 5 very hard to kill champions.
96% right now for Renegades already, and SK, because all of those kills happen in quick succession, they had enough time to regroup as a collective and rotate on in, sending Wi-Fi back over towards the point. But low-key just gets burned down by Invocal when you're in that kind of small tunnel where it's easy for you to focus down, and actually a triple kill from Invocal right now on the Drogos.
And that's what it's taken as of late for SK Gaming to get victories on Splitstone Quarry here. It's just been a monumental performance from Invocal here. He's putting over some pop shots, maybe trying to get a lucky dismount, slow down Renegades on their approach, but it's 96-96. SK with a capture, a close one at that.
Boy, oh boy. Didn't have to use a Dragon Punch either. And then Seismic Crash will be up not long from now. Loki and Moonchopper both pick up a couple kills, though. This is a time when SK is willing to expend some of those players. But a little bit of pushing going on. This is usually kind of a difficult push just because of the natures of the turns, and you can already see Loki on this high ground, and Bitey's the one that's trying to come find him.
Bitey's been very, very frugal with his soaring. He hasn't burned that cooldown more than once from what I've seen on camera. And you could even see in that early 1v1 with the chopper, he's very, very hesitant to actually burn that. It's been all blinks in, blinks out. It's a little riskier to play that way because you have to get closer, and your origination point, therefore, where you're wormholing back to, is a little bit closer to danger. But Eevee's such a stylistic character. You know, obviously there's room for this, that, and the other to be seen.
Dragon Punch, Hero goes down. That's a good use of it. Renegades, everybody
funny.
but Click You. And he at least got the kill onto Bitey in the meantime, but it's still very difficult when eventually you just get knocked out by the Drogos.
That was really funny because it was like, he's clearly going for Terminus. And then Chopper, he jumps in there heroically, puts up his counter, and then Volko just kind of looks at him as he goes by and punches his friend square in the face like, okay, now you're just sitting there with your sword up like an idiot. And you've accomplished nothing. Congratulations.
He tried. You know what he accomplished?
It's a thought
Maybe
that counts.
just, yeah, getting some trust from his team. Say, I'm here for you no matter what. There's something to be said about that camaraderie. Loki picks it up onto Invocal at least. And all ultimates up for Renegades. Moonchopper gets one onto Wardoom, so takes out that sustain. As far as Eevee play, you're talking about how it's very stylistic and some people get more aggressive with using their cooldowns, as you can see a bit more conservative for Bitey. What would you say is your preferred method, or is it kind of just dependent upon the comp you're going against?
It's the comp, the players, like how well they're going to be able to read you. I think Bitey is a new enough Eevee to where no one knows what his habits are going to be. I don't know what his that's why I'm talking about them, because I don't really know what they're going to be. This isn't a character we normally see from him. He plays on a little bit higher base ping, but you know that hasn't stopped guys from, like Bodies, for instance, from succeeding very, very well this split. And so I think Bitey's just being more open to more DPS picks as his roster has now allowed him to do so.
We often like to think of Eevee as the potential game changer, but for SK, it's been Drogos that's been the game changer in a lot of situations for them. So if they can lean on that a bit effectively, but Renegades on this defense, they've been able to clean up fairly continuously despite losing so many at one point. And right now, 4 kills right off the bat. And that's going to be your way to get that defensive point.
4 kills in just a couple of seconds here. And Volko getting in the back line now. That's been the success story for Splitstone Quarry, for
There
SK Gaming. I feel like we casted this exact game last week. And there it is. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm helping.
I got you.
I'm helping. You know what he saw is he saw the skill shot versus high-res games at the Spring Fling. And he saw, you know, Martini get his Dragon Punches countered 3 times on different occasions, and he was like, I want to do that. I want to do just like Bitey did at the Spring Fling.
There's still a chance. He can still do
he's
it.
8-2. He's rocking it. Don't get me wrong. SK Gaming struggling a little bit to start, at least from the feels perspective, but you could tell, you know, they had so much capture gained on the objective, still losing the fight when it's all said and done. But I think they have a lot of room for improvement, specifically the 0-6 Eevee.
I mean, here's the Whirlwind right now, actually kicking it off strong, but Loki falls to Shady Shades, and Invocal makes his rotation, burning way through Viral. One last hit to take him off the table, and the Dragon Punch has been wound up, looking for a frontliner. Ends up finding, oh man! Moonchopper ends up getting the kill onto Invocal right now. Ice Storm on the low, and it's 2 for 1 down.
That was awesome there. Just everything got out of sync just barely by the Renegades, and Invocal just capitalized on all of it. Now, key point there that actually happened. Fire Spit direct impacts Viral. Doesn't explode, but when you get hit by the projectile Fire Spit, you take an additional 30% damage. That's why you saw those salvo rockets hitting for 400 to 500 a pop instead of just 380s.
And man, are they capitalizing upon that 84% right now. Renegades do need to rotate in. You see Hero, he's actually just taking way too much damage from multiple targets in the meantime. Click You gets it onto Bitey. Overtime settles on down. Reanimate to bring Terminus on back, but there's still an Inara that's actually standing to keep this going in the meantime.
There it is, but Invocal, look at this position in Gabriella, and now they're trying. This is where it's right where we talk about, right? It's not hit scan, but it's Zen. He can do okay when it's close, when the skybox isn't too big, but Invocal just out of reach of the follow-up from the Renegades. They didn't have anything directly to deal with Drogos. Again, SK will capture the payload.
Vocal's just been such a huge issue for them.
Yeah, he's been the only issue for them.
Yeah, in the first capture, it was strictly off, I believe it was the triple kill that he achieved with Drogos, where Renegades were dominating objective for so long, and then Invocal said, let me open it up, guys.
Look at where he is. Why is he allowed to get away with this? Why he just walked into 3 people, decided, you know what, Gabby? I don't like being in between 3 people. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to walk back out and not use abilities and not get punished. That can't happen.
Whenever he does fall, it's not at times where Renegades can really benefit, right? It's not during a capture. It's not towards the end of a push or at the beginning where you can start getting momentum. You're also on the defense at this point, too. So it's just been very awkward in the way they've been handling this one pick, and especially if you put Blaster versus Blaster. And we were talking during the last game about how Loki, he kind of just adds that extra utility. He's not this big standout bomb king. It makes it that much more noticeable when you're facing off against this Drogos play.
That's the adjustment for me. I mean, you just try ignoring Bitey and Shady Shades and just killing Invocal and see what happens. I want to see how this game evolves, because right now he's getting away with not only murder, but like theft, arson, like every 7 deadly sin he has managed to just pull away from the Renegades, and I don't think it can continue to happen.
Especially because if they do that, it might force Bitey to get more aggressive with his play than he has been. Because Invocal's been in the center of everything, Bitey's been on the outskirts a lot, trying to kind of just like clean up and tidy things up, I guess.
Yeah.
But if suddenly Drogos is gone, then what are you going to do?
Moonchopper just gets deleted again, and the rampage continues. Bitey's doing exactly what he did on Eevee that he did with Buck, albeit not quite as effectively, but he's diving very deep into the backline until the Renegades forget about him, and then he peeks his head back out once the attention has shifted back to probably Invocal, who's sitting 12-7. And again, Shady's always kind of A+ when he gets cast, you know what I mean? Never bad, never incredibly standout per se, but he's just still that super solid backline that you need. Sort of like you mentioned that Loki was sort of fulfilling.
But right now we're in 10 seconds before overtime. The payload is moving, so SK off the back of this play and these picks. Shady Shades does get one onto Loki. You heard a couple ultimates go off, including the seismic crash. Do so. Overtime, it's still going. It's still topped off. And Renegades, they end up losing another one right now.
Ooh, narrowly misses the counter there. Shady Shades exploits 2 for him, 1 for Wi-Fi, and SK find a way through. Wi-Fi ever present on the objective. Whether his team's winning a fight, losing a fight, he's making sure that the bleeding on the capture point is either stopped or he's pulling his team ahead in every way imaginable.
And SK, they're up 3-1 now in this game. And they need to win this so they're not facing off against a potential reverse sweep situation. Would be the only chance to win if they lose this. But I think Renegades, right off the bat, they can't afford to dilly-dally in how they're going to approach this. If you're going to take care of Invocal, then you got to do it early and not wait till he comes out and gets a couple picks before you turn to him.
And now comeback mechanic is in play for the Renegades. They'll capture much quicker than before, and that's something SK have to be very aware of. SK have been winning their fights quickly, though. So if all goes according to plan here, that won't prove to be too much of an issue for them.
And especially because they're very aware of the situation. So I'm sure they're not going to be as willing to allow Renegades to just free capture for a while. Early rotation from Hero, but Invocal, he's trying to actually see if he can maybe take out Viral early on. He actually knows where Moonchopper is. So delete this guy as soon as you can, but you're actually down to 222 in HP and sliced away by Zen.
18 HP. That's luck right there. Just barely off the mark there. Slightly more direct impact from that rocket would have killed him. But that's the way Renegades needed to play that fight. You play it slow. You let SK make the mistakes. They have pressure on them. They know if they slip up once that this payload is going to the Renegades. And if they don't slip up, if they take too long, the payload is going to the Renegades there. So those factors combined makes SK play a little bit slower, a lot slower in fact, a little bit of panic maybe setting in as it just gets out of control quickly for the Renegades.
That's the thing. It wasn't a big team fight or something that got them that. It was, hey, here's this pick that we got, and now let's go ahead and finish off this capture. but using the spite there, so not gonna have that for a bit through time and space right above, but actually Renegades managing to drop below it. Low-key picks one up onto Wi-Fi.
Oh.
They've passed 50% right now, swing it away. Moonchopper picks it up onto Shady Shades. And this is looking much cleaner from them now that they have SK reacting to them.
Terrific accuracy from Moonchopper here. He hits a lot of big swings there for his team to help them break a couple of choke points, get them in a position, Gabby, where now they can fail 2, maybe 3 times on this last fight and still have more time to chance getting this one through and tying up the game.
A whirlwind before actually rotating some of their players around that corner. Here's the seismic crash. Goes afar, but everybody else actually just ducks right back around the bend, which is something you can do on Splitstone Quarry. There's so many places for you to actually be able to duck around, so even if you get hit by something, you don't necessarily receive all of the follow-up. But right now, Wi-Fi chunked so low, really close to going down. Hero finally gets that last hit onto him, and Vocal, though, throwing it back onto Viral, takes out the Loki as well, and now Renegades are looking a bit more timid.
I mean, the lad is an Andro main at heart, and you can see just the raw aggression. He is diving people, and that's frankly, it's almost becoming standard issue for Drogoz players nowadays, I feel like. A lot of flank, you got the Mutus playing the Andros, you got the Evil Eyes, you've got Invocal now, that are just changing their mindset to, you know, they dive in, try to get the kill, whether it's a Dragon Punch or a Spit Salvo. But then after they get that kill, they're just like, well, I'm probably not making it out of here. Might as well go ham. And a lot of them are finding is that, you know, this easily turns into maybe a team wipe. If I kill 2 people, there's not a lot of threats left on the board. I can kill everyone.
And even if I do go down, it doesn't matter if I take everybody down with me. But here's overtime. SK, they're getting some picks taken onto them, though. Viral even picks one up. Moonchopper zips on into the back line, takes this nice angle, and Renegades manage to actually push this payload through. So it's no longer that 3-1 scenario. It's 3-3, even keel, comes down to 1 capture.
And it's crazy that it ends up shaking out this way. Moonchopper still 14-7, 3rd on the damage charts. A great slash line for him. He's definitely had an awkward job. It's been a lot of role changing for him. First round, he was definitely worried all about Baidi. Second round, you could see a little bit of a change in his positioning. Third round, he just goes completely neutral. Sits on the high ground on his horse for probably a minute into that round and just waits and waits and waits for that opportunity. Still almost loses that 1v1 against Invocal. He gets hit by a salvo from below, which is not a very threatening proposition. But Invocal's just been so damn good this game on this champion on this map.
And as long as he keeps that going, SK have the chance to go ahead and tie up the set. But here's the really aggressive rotation, takes down Shady Shades, but Baidi makes sure to pay the price, and actually a Whirlwind that is tier 3 morale boost, so lots of Whirlwind potential as it's already at 23%. Wow. But Loki knows exactly where Wi-Fi is. He knows where the Drogoz is, and Vocal actually gets eliminated, so 45% for Renegades.
Great peel there from Hero as well. The power siphoning's been on point. We haven't gotten highlighted a whole lot this match because Invocal and how to deal with him has been the conversation this time around. But Hero, one of the best terminuses, I think, in the league.
Oh man, here's the seismic crash right down and far to actually help Shady Shades finish off Moonchopper. And that could be huge because soon 2 more are to follow. All you've got is the frontliners. Hero, only one left, does have Reanimate, but when the rest of the team isn't there for you, what are you really going to do?
Yeah, you can't now. Renegades are in a spot. Their spot is neither bad nor good. They're not happy about it, obviously, but they have a chance here for sure. They've got 2 big ultimates, Spite and Reanimate being the biggest of them. They need to play on this Reanimate nicely. Hopefully they don't get into a panic situation, Gabby, where he's dead on arrival when he gets to the objective and is forced to use that in an awkward spot. But Invocal and SK are sitting on nothing. If big damage comes through here for the Drogoz, he could potentially have another Dragon Punch in play.
And luckily for Renegades, they're able to make it in time despite some of those dismounts happening. Shady Shades and Vocal pick up a couple kills, though. It's 99% for Renegades, but 93% for SK. Overtime trickles. And even with Wi-Fi down, though, look at all the spread out pressure from SK Gaming. Can Hero hold it? And he actually goes down, brings back the Reanimate. Dragon Punch to follow.
Wow!
But it's not enough! Renegades, in that time that they bought, took game 2.
Oh my god, I almost don't believe it there. Wi-Fi, it seemed they had it. They had the whole textbook laid out. They had their paragraph section in. It was all highlighted what they needed to do, and Volk was already winding up the punch to counter out Reanimate. and they just slip up when it matters most. That was their map. That is deflating to lose that one.
That really hurts when you're SK and you have been fighting to get your namesake back. But I don't know. We'll take a breather from that one and send it back to the desk.
Well, it didn't work out. And I hate to close the coffin on this set. But what do you think, Gore? Do you think they have a chance now to reverse sweep?
No.
Yeah.
I think that's like maybe a game, maybe even 2 games. 3 games is really hard to do in a row.
Well out of reach. I think SK, and a great word to describe it, was deflating. How do you go from such a tight set, you win every single point, and all of a sudden, you got nothing to show for it? You know, it's one of those nightmare situations for SK because it feels like it's one you can't run away from. It just keeps on happening in these sets that could change the tide for you and your team. I can only imagine what it must feel like, especially in Vocal having the kind of performance that he had.
And I think that was the really bad thing is out of all of it, his Drogoz was amazing.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of what determined the points. There was points where, okay, Vocal didn't die at the beginning, SK win this point. And Vocal dies at the beginning, Renegades win the point. That is pretty much how the game went. If they could figure out how to take him out of the air, then they figured out how to win the game, essentially. Being able to handle him, that's what helped them. During the first map, they get a 4-0 because it's just like, cool, this dragon's not really doing anything to us. And the second map, okay, the dragon's starting to hit harder. Here's a triple kill. Here's another just pushing them back. And then eventually, like, okay, take care of Invocal, then we got this.
I think this is going to be a really important moment though for SK because yes, when players like Viral click you, they show up and they have moments on Grover, and this is what they look for, right? These picks where maybe you could figure it out in a couple of games, but after that, if you don't, then now we're in such a good position to win. It doesn't matter if our Grover gets banned out. We have 3 whole chances in games to adjust. His whirlwinds were clutch. His positioning's been great. The damage that he's been able to output. I mean, this guy's been grinding Rum Royale, but you wouldn't know it with the way that he's playing so succinctly here. Or maybe it's helping.
Plays Paladins. When he starts to get a little tilted, switches to Realm. Then when he starts to get tilted, switches to Paladins. It's perfect.
He's just been playing so much Warrior Legendary Axe going on there, and he's just like, this is so easy.
That feels too different.
Now I got to play Grover.
I can't.
Well, let's send it to the maps for game number 3, see if SK can bounce back. I'm not sure. I put this in the Rainerator there. The Fridge Raider, it's called the Rainerator. I'm putting it in the fridge. No longer available, I think, for SK to get this win. But, hey, I'd love to be proven wrong and beat some exciting Paladins if I was.
True.
So stay tuned. Jaguar Falls here, map 3. What can they do to maybe take it out and start eating again, finish their dinner, so to speak?
I think it's interesting that they're going to a map again where Drogoz is pretty good. Bomb King is pretty good here as well. Look, he's been playing it, but again, his Bomb King, and I think Nick mentioned this earlier, it doesn't really have the same feel as what you see out of like if Fasheka is playing Bomb King.
Sure.
It's just a little bit more slowed down. He sits back a little bit further. He looks more kind of like he's augmenting everyone else on his team more than he's the carry for his team.
Calculated is a great way to describe it because that play of, okay, I'm in an 85% optimal situation to go in and get 2 kills. Oh, now I'm at an 87% optimal situation. I'm going to wait. I'm actually going to heal up. Okay, now, because we're starting to fight and they've already gone to the point, I'm at a 96%
I like the idea
rate
that,
of
like,
optimization. I will go in now.
really far back to crunch numbers. Like, he's sitting there throwing bombs and detonating, but he's
health,
like, okay, I can go in.
2 bombs, and I've got to reload. I'm running reinforced casing over here. He's got 5 monitors
like
going up.
Green visor and a cigarette.
I've got Nimble 1, Cauterize 2. I can do it.
I can do it.
I can do it.
And then he goes in and makes the play.
Oh, I missed my Poppy Bomb. No, I'm kidding. That's not what he would do. He would definitely land that Poppy Bomb. And Zen, as well, has landed in the signs of Renegades, which has been used by Moonchopper very often. And something we've seen Click You on. We've seen, obviously, like I said, Moon on. I'm not sure we've seen Loki flex too much of that. They have the Cassie, so again, this is a quite an offensive opportunity for them with the Genos, the Luminary augmenting all of that. And the Shaolin comes in last pick for SK.
Buck, Bomb King, Shaolin. It's really good 3 DPS to have on your team. You're going to be going with the Ruckus. And now this is something I'm really interested in seeing Renegades pull out because I feel like we've seen Na'Vi pull it out, Fnatic pull it out. Some of those teams that are sitting up at the top saying, like, okay, we've got our eyes on this guy again. Because, again, sometimes it's like hot stove reactions to a nerf. You see something like, oh, no damage reduction, can't play Ruckus anymore, got to stop.
I agree.
He's still got a lot of potency.
I mean, he lost the Elf, he lost the DR, but that doesn't mean Ruckus can't do what he's been doing this entire time, which is bursting people down with his rockets. Let's see if Renegades can take advantage of it or if SK will somehow crawl their way back in this set.
Do you think SK has the crawling chops?
They're not going to get all 3 in a row. They're just not. They might get this one, but I don't think they get all 3. I think Renegades are looking too good. That interview with G2, they're specifically scared of this team because Renegades just have that game day mentality where they definitely come to play. They have moments that are just like, what the hell? But they're having less and less of those, I have to be honest. Since they've added Chopper, I don't know. I think he's a really good guy for this roster. I don't know how they are outside, but a lot of them are pretty quiet in interviews and stuff. He's very chipper. I thought he was a great interviewer, very well spoken, put together young man. And I think he's great for this roster overall. I think he brings a very positive vibe to this team. When they're at Atlanta, he's cooking up, the Chopper special for all of them. That's just going to be good vibes. I think all the future really looking bright for the Renegades in my book.
He has said in interviews how it feels more family-like, and he really has a good time with this roster. And there's something to be said about if you're enjoying the play with your teammates, then it's going to show in your actual competitive ability. But right now, it's ClickU on the Ruckus. So they're talking about this pick and how ever since those changes, a lot of people have actually just stepped off of him completely, but can still have some potency if played in the right way.
ClickU's a very OG Ruckus player. I expect him to hop right back on the horse. I consider him probably Andro-ish, you know what I mean? About as rare, I think, to see in these PPL games, but I think the players that pull him out are pulling him out because they're vicious on the character.
And there's the first blood, Moonchopper, eliminating Shady Shades. But SK, they've been waiting for their chance to rotate in on this objective. You see the biting on the buck. Got some early fire, but hasn't fallen just yet. Kind of waiting for his opening. And Vocal back onto this Bomb King, but another kill for Moonchopper onto Wardoom. He's just kind of making his rounds right now.
Especially early game. I don't know. SK don't really have anything to fight this Ruckus, to box this man, especially with Luminary. It makes him just a walking wall of effective health and DPS. He's running he is dead even at 1,000 DPS just from the miniguns. And then you turn that up to 1150 with Luminary, and then you have rockets on top of that. There's no math that can be done that puts any of these SK champions over a battle with this Ruckus at the moment.
I feel like it was a lot of tiptoeing for SK. Where they say, I'm here because I'm trying to find my opening, but I don't know. And eventually, as you're doing that, the percentage just keeps going higher and higher and higher for your enemy. And then Renegades, now on the push, it seems a bit of the same thing. SK Gaming are stepping back to have one of the more advantageous choke points available to them instead of risking losing too many lives. But there goes Bitey, down to Loki. Moonchopper just goes straight into the back once again. Billows out through time and space through as well. Loki ends up picking one up onto Shady Shades, and Vocal throws it back onto Moonchopper, punishes him for that positioning, but after quite a while.
And they've really got SK in a box here, quite literally. As soon as some rockets come up, that's good for a kill. Double kill, ClickU finding 2, surging to the back line, looking for his 3rd. Shady Shade stops moving just for a moment and takes about 1,000 damage for it.
Even with 2 of these damage dealers out here, they can't do anything. So Renegades just roll the payload on through.
I mean, what a first round there from ClickU. Shady's topping the charts, but he's 0-2. He can't exactly be happy about that performance there. 3-0 for Loki, 3-0 for ClickU, 4-1 for the Chopper. Only 1 death on Inara as well. All things going well for the Renegades right now. And you have to imagine, I mean, we talk about momentum a lot at LAN, but this is momentum if I've ever seen it in an online game. I mean, that was just a crushing defeat, I think, for SK to lose there on Splitstone. With this start, I don't see any way SK are able to bounce back into it.
And you still have the Spite, Hexafire, and Seismic Crash.
Look at the items.
Yes.
SK don't even have items. They don't even have level 2 offensives. Renegades have level 2 offensives plus an added utility in Rejuvenate 1, Illuminates as well. They're putting this game away in this round.
It's got to be the case. SK, they need to, I guess, maybe get some really good play with either the Seat Haze that was just popped, or if the King Bomb can roll through and just disorient everybody on the objective. But meanwhile, on the side, yes, Bitey finally picks one up, but it's still just a bit of a till where you need a bit more than that 1 kill, especially when you're still trading one of your players on the opposite end of the map.
Yomi connects there. ClickU finds his 2nd, and SK are scattered. Look at where Wardoom is. That Dread Serpent again. Should have at least procced counter. I don't know.
Potentially, but just blasted away right there. Click you with the double kill. So SK, you just got your Buck and your Shaolin, and Luck a Hero, nobody around to make him feel uncomfy on this objective.
He's like, hello?
Like, hi guys.
Anyone?
Just post up a couch.
Splintered right now is the word I would use for SK. You know, Shady dies in one corner of the map, Wardoom's by himself in another. The fight's falling apart. No one's calling reset. It's getting grim over there for sure.
This is a kind of time where, of course, every team's different, but you can imagine it being maybe even just pretty quiet in the comms right now for SK. Either
Absolutely.
that or frazzled, but I don't even know what you say at this point. You're just trying your best to hold. You're down 3 points. You're way behind in immunization.
This sucks, because this was a great set. I think up until this game, this was a damn good set from SK. I was really enjoying watching this one. But I get it. I would be pissed. I would be deflated. I would be pretty defeated after what happened on Splitstone Quarry. Because they felt so far ahead that whole time. And then it felt like it fell apart in a matter of minutes. Like 2 to 3 minutes. This went from a 3-1. We looking good. We feeling good. We just converted to like, oh my God, we actually just lost this game during a good team fight for us that should not have gone wrong.
There's the through time and space. Gets a chunk down.
That was so
Hexafire
sick.
as well. Viral picks one up. Moonchopper picks one up. Yeah, ClickU is doing his things on that Ruckus. And right now, SK Gaming, all there is a Maldamba, and he can't get anywhere near the objective. So Renegades close it out with a very clean 4-0 for the set.
Cross T's, dotted I's. That was sick there. In that last play, the King Bomb comes rolling out. Chopper doesn't even burn his counter for what reason, I don't really know, but he just gets behind Kliku, and then Kliku just hexafires and immunes all of it.
So he was you
pops
with the shades.
the emitter, exactly.
I was
Chopper.
Kliku.
So you were actually my bodyguard. That's what it was all along.
That's really what it was.
It's not about big things, small packages, all that.
Yeah, Ruckus, he's actually a little guy. So
Gabby protects me
yeah,
at land.
I connect to that.
If anyone tries to fight me at land, they got to go through Gabby.
You know, I've been putting in the work, in the gym,
She's from
guys.
Miami, all right?
That does add a little spice. But
spicy.
It sure is. But let's go ahead and hear what they have to say at the desk.
Well, that bit was great, by the way, at the end. I love that. It's from Miami. And I think at this point, things have heated up for Renegades. They continue their run, and they also send SK kind of packing as far as their hopes, I would say, at breaching top 2. I wouldn't say it's all over, but I would say that barring anything incredibly odd, it would be. And I think that's, again, a huge challenge accepted and taken on by Renegades to show that they want to earn their spot here at LAN in July.
And coming through, again, they're really just kind of boxing with Envy at this point, looking for that second place spot. And with the way things went, I really do think that the Ruckus being able to adapt that, it's something we've seen some of the top teams in Europe doing. Picking it up here was something that looked fresh, but at the same time, pretty much what you'd expect out of a Ruckus.
It's always scary when a champion who's super top tier drops, because then you don't know if it dropped because, everyone dropped it, so now all the great teams drop it and the lower teams drop it, and then we just forget about it. Because then it could show up and do stuff like this, and you're not prepared. You don't draft around it. You don't ban it. You don't pick it. And all of a sudden, wait, 5th pick Ruckus. We weren't expecting a Ruckus here. And now it just destroys your whole team. It's the same thing with Torvald, kind of, because, statistically, you're going to still see Torvald be successful, but what team's going to do it? Right now, ClickU showing that he has got all the things to flex on in all the right places.
And just being able to apply this consistent damage, and like you said, there was no draft. There was no one who was dedicated to take him down. And when they tried to do it, it's like, all right, now all their focus is on me. Just come around the sides, and you can kill them for free. There's no way to really beat a composition, especially with the way Renegades played that, where you pull out something that some champions, I want to say, like you put Willow there, probably doesn't go the same way as you would see out of Ruckus, but you never really know. Again, it's just adding that unknown flavor into it, where it's just like they don't know how to deal with this.
Well, to be honest, it was a good start for Renegades and an important one for them, even though the story of today is SK's doubleheader. SK continuing to slightly disappoint some of their fans, and I think, unfortunately, still have things to work through. As much as the G2 switch to help keep them in stride, SK switch didn't help change the momentum that already wasn't built, and they're going to have to go back to that to be able to get a competition going for these top 2-3 spots heading into at least not this LAN, but the next LAN upcoming as we head towards Hyra's Expo at the end of the year. SK and Splice, of course, those will be coming up, and it's not the end of SK, so you have to stay tuned, and we'll hear right now from actually Vayne on Splice to see his thoughts about this game. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back with set number 2 of today's PPL.
Thanks, guys. I'm sitting here with the now captain of Splice's roster here, Mr. Vayne. Talk to us about, obviously the big transition you guys have had to go through, losing Ozone, and now you having to step up as captain of this roster.
Well, so with Ozone leaving, we knew this was going to be the biggest change for him because obviously he had a full-time job. He had mortgage, he has a wife, he has all these real life obligations that he has to uphold, and we knew that for him it was kind of a make or break decision, right? It was either give up your opportunities to perhaps progress yourself into a better career for this, or play in PPL, which is what we've been striving for, right? That's what he wanted it more than I think anybody I know, right? So I can feel how hard it would have been for him to step down, and I mean I don't think any of us would have been here without Ozone. Me, Ozone, and Aspect were on the original stay-at-home dad team when we first
was that the first one of the first of many PGS teams?
Yeah, that was during
stay-at-home dads. I remember that now that you say that. That's funny.
That was during Purity's reign, and then when they left for LAN, we changed to Toxicity, and we picked up 2 new people and went from there.
Awesome. So, I mean, obviously you guys have a lot of room to improve here. Now you've got a consistent roster, and how confident are you in this roster? Because in the last time we got to see you play against the Renegades and G2, you guys were doing a little bit of role swapping. Is there still some figuring out happening with this 5-man squad?
Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff you're gonna figure out and learn as you play, and as you swap things up and kind of get more comfortable with people playing whatever you need them to play.
Right.
People kind of we're on the fly learning certain things work better than others. We picked Victor on Fish Market, and that was actually the first time we ever ran Victor ever. We didn't ever run him in
Oh, wow.
Aspect just said, yo, I think Victor will do good here. I love Victor, put me on Victor. We were actually skeptical of the Victor, and
so were we.
He was actually, I think he's one of the first people to break 200k damage in this split.
Okay, that's what I was going to say, because I remember watching that game, the last time we actually checked the damage charts before coming out of game, he was already at 160, 170, so I knew he had to be getting close.
70k above the next person. We were blown away at his DPS. And then, so with this change, we have the ability to kind of move Aspect around a little bit, because Aspect volunteered to take the support role when we needed a new support off of the damage role, which he was originally on. And then he played support for so long, and he was easily the best support in PGS at the time. And he is comparable to the PPL supports, but he's also a really nutty DPS player. So with Ozone stepping down and bringing up G-Bunny can't play DPS. He is a tank, and he can support as well. And I'm not the best DPS. I'm just not comfortable on it, and so he is. So we thought, okay, well, we'll put me on the Genos, we'll have Bunny tank, and then we'll put Aspect on the flex DPS if we need the triple. And I mean, it's been working out a lot for us. We're just kind of still getting people used to that feeling, right? That was the first time he had played DPS in PPL, and then this is the first time Bunny had played in PPL. So there was a few things that kind of went hand in hand in nerve wise, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
It's I don't want to throw it all up to nerves because every team played phenomenal, but I don't know. There's just a few things that I think we just need to get more comfortable with, and I think we're approaching that a lot faster than a lot of teams
So you are the captain of this roster. Would you consider yourself the in-game leader? Is there an in-game leader for Splice? Who's kind of making the calls, doing the drafts, that sort of thing? Give me the rundown.
So Ozone was the IGL. That was his role, and he did it phenomenally. So whoever was to replace him obviously would be filling in that role, and that's what G-Bunny is. That's why we wanted G-Bunny, and that's why we brought him up, is because he played with Ozone, and Ozone taught him how to IGL for when if Bunny ever had his own team, Bunny had the ability to essentially guide that team the same way Ozone guided us, right? Like, so when we moved up, Bunny took his own team and was dominating the PGS with them, and through his guidance and his drafting and stuff. And so when Ozone wanted to step down, obviously our next best would be essentially Ozone's child, his mind child.
There you go.
And he's suited to it well. I definitely think he still needs to get into the mindset of PPL and how much of drafting needs to be altered essentially for different teams, because everybody plays things differently and handles certain things more drastically than others, I just say.
Right. Well, that's a lot of great info. Thank you so much, Vayne, for sitting down with us, giving us a little inside look on this Splice roster. Good luck in your games today, and I'll see you next time, brother.
See ya.